Good morning. It's the appointed time. We have a quorum. I call to order a meeting of the Public Works Subcommittee. In the 2025 session, as at the last meeting, we approved in total 26 projects. The total allocation is $97.3053 billion. We have two items on the agenda today. Both proposals are carried over from the last meeting on 10th of September. The two proposals involve a total allocation of $10.8938 billion. If the two funding proposals today are passed, the total number of approved projects will become 28. The total allocation will be $108.1991 billion, excluding the block allocation for land acquisition and computerization, $20.73407 billion. The total allocation for works projects is $80.8584 billion. I remind members that in accordance with Rule 83A of the Rules of Procedure, members should disclose the nature of any direct or indirect pecuniary interest relating to the items under discussion at the meeting before they speak on the items. I also draw members' attention to Rule 84 on voting in case of direct pecuniary interest. Agenda item number 2, 25EM, development of the lift and escalator technology center at the Annex building of Huanggang IV Kwai Chung, PWSC 2025-2616. The paper proposes to upgrade 25EM to Category A. In money of the day prices, the estimated cost is $249.7 million. This subcommittee has commenced discussion of this item at the meeting on 10th of September. We'll resume the discussion now. The list of public officers in attendance has been sent to members via email. I will not read the names out one by one. Welcome, representatives from the administration. We have 4 members who have spoken on this item on the last occasion. We have 4 other members who have indicated their intention to speak. Mr. Chan Xiu-hong, 4 minutes. Thank you, Chair. This item is about constructing or developing a lift and escalator technology center at the location. I do support that because the profession does have a long-term demand for such personnel, and it is still the case in future. We had before Mr. Andrew Lam asking about the breakdown for the old structures and the new structures. I do not see such information being provided by the administration just yet. I hope to have such information because we do see breakdowns in the paper. What is special about this project is it is not a complete redevelopment. It is essentially putting on top this new center, this on the existing structure. And I want to ask about enclosure 8. There is specific information on comparison drawn to other projects. But I would say if it is not an apple-to-apple comparison, there is really no point. In enclosure 8, it compared this project to another project in Chung. The Chung facility is also a new structure. So you have drawn this comparison where you have taken out the component where there is conversion. It is not exactly a good comparison to draw reference on whether the cost is reasonable. So essentially, you are adding another $1,500 in item A, which honestly is just not a good comparison. I also want to ask, so you have said the estimated cost has lowered compared to when you consulted the panel. What costs have decreased? Thank you. 2 questions. Secretary or Undersecretary. Thank you, Mr. Chen, for your support of this project. Regarding the breakdown, I would like to first apologize. We are still communicating with the different departments. We do have some figures now, and we will provide a written response after the meeting. When we talk about, say, for building works and building services works, the construction cost is $25,500 odd per square meter. For the new component, it is approximately $27,200 per square meter, and for the altered part, it's around $24,500 per square meter. And Mr. Chen talked about the comparison drawn to 21 EM. It is $30,500 per square meter, so it is still lower. Of course, there are differences between the projects. This is just for reference for members. The second question of Mr. Chen is the reduction in costs based on the returned tender prices. I will ask the VTC colleague answer this question. We will ask the consultant to answer this question. Yes, Mr. Lam. Mr. Lim. Bernard Lim. Thank you, Chair. We did find the return tender prices based on what is submitted by market operators are quite good. Market prices have changed is one reason. Furthermore, based on our analyses, it is the case, as the member said, we cannot really draw a good comparison with other projects. This project does not require piling, so we only have to do some foundation works for this project. For the materials used, they are relatively inexpensive. We also have a lower cost for installations for escalators or escalator facilities, which is why we have a reduction in costs. Well, I want to ask, when we talk about breakdown, we would often have it in, say, building services, etc. So I want to ask, the components you mentioned, most of them are E&M. Is it the case that most of the reduction is in the E&M facilities? Yes. Can they provide a written response after the meeting? on specifically reduction in costs compared to previous estimates. Sure, we can do that. It does show that there is greater efficiency. Well, can you also make sure to provide such figures? Actually, can you have an officer print them right now for the reference of members, because we asked for such information already at the last meeting? Can the secretary help with that? Great, thank you. Dr. Anman Yu. Thank you. I have 2 questions. First, on the demand for labor in the lift and escalator maintenance profession, does the administration have any figures on how much demand we have in particular? Also, I believe in future we will have many students in the institute with an increase in capacity, but do we actually have an adequate demand for such courses, both at the lower level and for in-service personnel? Would you introduce subsidies to encourage people to take such courses? Thank you. Undersecretary, on number of students in 2024-2025, for full-time and part-time courses in total, there are 460 students. Every year, we have 510 students taking part in courses provided by government departments and organizations. When the Lift and Escalator Technology Center is commissioned, we can increase the number of student capacity to 340 in 2031. Right now, we will have a total number of students of 900. For in-service personnel, we can go up to 1,000. Let me say this, the courses will not be provided at the same time slot, because district stakeholders have expressed concern on transportation capacity in the area. So we expect the number of students at any given time in the campus will be roughly the same as what it is right now. As for whether we will introduce subsidies or awards to students to encourage students to undertake such courses, we will work with the profession on this. It is important to maintain sustainability of the profession by doing this, and in future the VTC will hold open days, youth experience, workshops, and other activities to tell the public about the latest developments in the profession. We do see more technologies being incorporated in the profession. Our vision is to work with the industry to make good use of such technologies. As for how we can enhance publicity, we will work with the E&M profession on this. Thank you. Undersecretary, can you talk more about how Dr. An asked about manpower projections, how many people are leaving the profession and the demand for the profession's work in future? Thank you, Chair. On manpower, in the profession, we have approximately 9,000 lift and escalator maintenance professionals at the moment. Thanks to the administration promulgating different measures to encourage the upgrading of lift and escalator facilities and major infrastructure projects, we expect that in the profession there will be an increasing demand for maintenance personnel. In the short term, we have tried to meet the manpower gap by importing labor. As for this lift and escalator technology center, it will be a long-term solution to meet the sustainable development needs of the profession. Thank you.
A couple of follow-up questions, Chairman. I want to find out about the enrollment level. Are we confident there will be enough applicants for the future? And can I ask a question? It's about the EMSD. Now, since the scheme about technical professionals was launched on the 30th of June, how many applications have you received from the mainland? This question was put to you, but we can do with more details under Secretary. The new enrollment level is 160 trainees. By 2031 and 32, that's expected to go up to 340 trainees. So that's the rough estimate. Now over to the EMSD for a response to the other question. First, on the need or the demand for apprentices in the lift and escalator industry. There are new installation projects and we have to enhance the older escalators and lift. Every year, we will need an extra 200 registered workers. And then you have the aging workforce in the industry. We're looking at the age distribution. The retirement levels will go up and up. The current manpower can meet the demand. But in the future, the demand will go up to 300 and 400 registered workers per year. The member asked a question about the admission of technical professionals. That scheme was launched on June 30th this year. The EMSD has been in close contact with the industry. We have been doing briefing sessions. From what we've learned, the industry is looking to take advantage of the scheme. They're getting the interested parties to sign up for the written tests for the VTC's courses. The work is underway. Now, we don't have the specific figures yet. From what we have learned from the industry so far, there are 10 people or so involved. Next, Ms. Lillian Kwok. So both members not here. Ms. Lillian Kwok is not here. We'll go to Mr. Kenneth Falk. Sorry, I have a question about some minor details. Excuse me if I'm hair splitting here. I see changing rooms for each floor. So are trainees expected to put in their work clothes? I see a changing room for every floor. The changing rooms are not big. Why not have a single bigger changing room? Wouldn't that be more efficient? Or is it part of the requirements to have a changing room each year? I'm sorry about my question about this minor detail. So what's the workflow like? Do they put in overalls, coverall suits? Do they need lockers? All those changing rooms all together take up quite a bit of space. So wouldn't having a changing room on every floor lead to a fragmented picture? The sign reads washroom stroke changing room. This is not to say there's a changing room on every floor. We follow the building's ordinance. So we have a washroom on every floor. And then on the ground floor, you have one changing room. I thank the member for bringing up this matter. So it's not like we have a changing room on every floor. So the apprentices will still have to put on their work clothes. Yes. Mr. Rincon. This center will be used to train workers in lifts and escalators. Elsewhere, they have polytechnics or universities training such professionals. So where else in the world do they have a separate center to train such professionals? Can I get some details on this for my reference? Undersecretary. Chairman, the VTC will take the question. Mr. Pakotang or Mr. Liu? We need a facility that meets requirements, so we have this standalone center to have better facilities. We also have to meet the requirements in the technology for lift and escalators. So we have incorporated many technologies for lift and escalators. Having a dedicated center is the appropriate approach. Now we have 2 existing campuses with facilities, but those buildings are more than 40 years old. It's hard to have the new facilities there. We review the training institutes under the VTC from time to time. We believe converting the Annex at the Kwai Center will be the fastest way and most cost-effective way to reach our goal. On the situation elsewhere, I don't have the details on that. It's hard to do an apple-to-apple comparison. Can I put a follow-up question to them? I have time left. Technology advances by leaps and bounds. The same goes for technology for lift. So my worry is we spend hundreds of millions of dollars on the new facility and then our technology falls behind. Will frequent replacement of facilities be required? I'm no specialist in this area, so I'm just putting this question to you. The VTC, Dr. Eric Liu. The VTC works closely with the industry on vocational and professional education and training. We have consulted the lift and escalator industry. For this proposal, we got industry feedback on the technology to incorporate. For our training institutes, we try to build in flexibility to make allowances for future technology. So we will keep a close watch on where the technology goes. We try to avoid major overhauls of our institutes. We are confident that we will be able to cope with the new technology for quite a while to come. Any follow-up questions? No. If members have no follow-up questions, I now put this proposal to a vote. Will members in favor of the proposal in paper PWSC 2025-26 number 16 raise their hands? Those against the proposal, please raise their hands. No one? I think the majority of members voted in favor of this proposal. This proposal is endorsed. We now vote on whether we recommend further discussion of this item at the Finance Committee. In accordance with the Public Works Subcommittee, paragraph 41A, I put this question to a vote. That this subcommittee recommends further discussion of the proposal in paper PWSC bracket 2025-26 number 16 at the Finance Committee. A reminder to members, if we endorse this motion, that means this subcommittee recommends further discussion of this item at the FC. If this question is negative, that means we recommend no further discussion of the item at the FC. Will members in favor of this question please raise their hands? With those against, please raise your hands. I think a majority of members voted against this question. This question is negative. This means this subcommittee does not recommend further discussion of this item, meaning the item in paper PWSC 2025-26 number 16 at the Finance Committee. So that concludes the discussion of this item. We thank the official for joining us. We now move on to the next item. We now invite the officials to join us. Item 3. This is 371WF Ngau Water Treatment Works Extension and 377WF Improvement of Water Supply to Northern New Territories. The paper is PWSC 2025-26, number 17. This is a proposal to upgrade part of 371WF and the entire 377WF to grade A. In money of the day prices, the project costs are expected to be $9.685 billion and $1.356 billion respectively. On the 29th of April this year, the administration briefed the panel on development on these two proposals. Members supported the submission of these two proposals to this subcommittee for consideration. The gist of the panel's discussion was forwarded to members via email on the 9th of September this year. Joining us for this item are a list of officials. The list has been forwarded to members. I do not propose to go through the names one by one. Members who would like to speak, please press the request to speak button now. Here's the lineup: Mr. Lam Chun-sing, Ms. Chen Yut-ming, Mr. Holden Chow, and Mr. Luk Chung-hong. Mr. Lam Chun-sing, 4 minutes, please. Thank you, Chairman. We have an old Ngau water treatment works that opened in 2000, so it's been more than 20 years in operation. And now this new project will cost $9.6 billion. So how long will the new facility be good for? The paper says that with the northern metropolis, we expect the population to reach a certain level by 2036. But then we're spending $9.6 billion on the new water treatment works. Will the new water treatment works be good for another 40 to 50 years so that we can meet the long-term needs of the northern metropolis? That's my first question. My second question has to do with the point it raised about the Shatin water treatment works. Because of the operating costs, the sewage costs went up. Now for sewage, we have the polluter pays principle, which applies to the sewage treatment charges. Now for the Shatin sewage treatment works, the operating costs went up, so the sewage charges are expected to go up. It was hard to say how high the sewage charges will go up to. We asked the government for a pledge to not to raise the charges, but that was impossible. So now we have these projects. We're upgrading the water treatment works at Ngau. Will all these works lead to a spike in the operating costs? Do we have a more accurate estimate of where the new sewage treatment charges will go up to? At the northern metropolis, more water will be used. Will that lead to rising costs for the project and the businesses? Again, we will see more costs associated with the electrical and mechanical costs, just like what you have with the Shatin water treatment works. We will see MIMAP for these works, just like what you had with the Shatin project. Thus, we're making wider use of MIMAP. When mass producing the components, practice also makes perfect. We're using the technology more often. Can we lower the costs for using MIMAP?
Permanent Secretary, thank you. I believe the first question of the member is on design life. For the water treatment works, with proper maintenance, for E&M facilities, major maintenance, the design life can go beyond 50 years. To answer Mr. Lam's question, this facility will be able to meet the long-term demand in the northern metropolis, especially in Yunlong. Mr. Lam also asked about the sewage charge. So it does not really affect the sewage charge because this is a water treatment works. But in general, we will consider the affordability of such charges. We will take into account the principle of users pays. We will also consider the operations and financial position of the government when determining relevant charges. As for the electrical and mechanical installations, the cost already reflects the return parallel prices, but because we are making use of MI and EP, there's room to further reduce the cost. Thank you. Ms. Chen Yupming. Thank you, Chair. I support the project. I have 3 questions. It is said after 2030, with an increase in the population, there will be greater demand for freshwater supply. I myself am a North District councillor as well. I do note in Fanling North, Kutong, Quintiel, there will be multiple residential projects, and we believe with the projects it will take about 5 years to complete. The time is quite tight, and we have to make sure there is no delay with the developments. Much in the paper is on the construction costs, and we are making use of the trenchless method in some parts of the projects. But in May, it would still cost over $100,000 per cubic meter, and in the other component, it would cost over $70,000. We have seen recently many pipe burst incidents, and it has cost us to fix those pipes. So I want to ask, what are the materials used for the new mains? What is the design life of the mains? How can we make sure we are minimizing leakage in the mains? We will also have a laying of new mains from Fanling to Tai Po. If in the northern metropolis we will have new water treatment works with the laying of the new mains, will that be a waste of resources? How can we make sure to have a continuous supply of fresh water to Fanling North? Thank you. Permanent Secretary, thank you, Chair. We expect the project will be completed in 5 years. This is a reasonable estimate based on our experience, and we understand that there is a gradual population intake, but of course we want to complete the project as soon as possible. As for materials, for large diameter water mains over 700 millimeters, we will be using steel pipes. For 200 to 600 millimeters, we will be making use of those with reinforced materials with a layer of plastic in between. But in general, the design life can be 60 to 80 years and 40 to 60 years, respectively. Maintenance is difficult mainly because it would require us to implement traffic arrangements. But in general, they are quite affordable. As for trenchless method and open cut method, the cost difference can be quite large, 2 to 5-fold, but we are mainly using open cut method because it does not require the closure of roads. And in such circumstances, we'll make use of the trenchless method. In Aotame, 45% of it would be trenchless. And for the second component, we have approximately 20% only for the connections. We'll be making use of the trenchless method. What about the question on typo water treatment works? Right, there is currently an expansion of the Shatin water treatment works, and the typo water treatment works is currently supplying the Shatin district. Once the works are done, typo water treatment works can provide its supply to the northern metropolis. So we will increase the capacity of the Shengshui water treatment works from 150,000 to 180,000, and after that we will better allocate the capacities so that we can meet the needs of different districts. Thank you, Mr. Holden Chow. Thank you, Chair. We expect a significant increase in demand because of the development in Northern Metropolis, so I support the works project to expand capacity. But I note in paragraphs 9 and 10, we have some smart water management, making use of technology through the installation of advanced sensors for collection of data on the water flow to see whether there is leakage and to prevent pipe bursts. Since we will have a new primary service reservoir, we will also have new water mains that would have smart water management. Will we no longer have something like what happened in Chunmun that cost much and it really affected many residents? Also, with the installation of smart water management facilities, they only installed in new development areas. Will they be used in existing neighborhoods as well? Thank you. Thank you, member, for your questions. We will install sensors as the member said, so the cost does include the installation cost of sensors. In July, we consulted the panel on development on this, and we talked about how in future we will install sensors on some existing water mains. We will also change some existing sensors to real-time sensors. So we have been doing much, but indeed for new water mains, we have more capacity to install sensors, which is why we included that in the cost of the component. Thank you. Mr. Look Chung Hong. Thank you, Chair. I support the project, but I want to ask some questions. With the design of this project, have you incorporated some new concepts? The Northern Metropolis is quite close to the mainland, and we have Dongjiang water coming to Hong Kong having to be filtered before the water is consumed. Some are concerned because the water goes through some iron pipes. Can we have the water treated in Shenzhen before coming to Hong Kong? which will also reduce the costs concerned. And we can have less in construction, thereby lowering the construction costs in this project as well. Second, for water mains, the Tuen Mun incident, the administration provided an explanation for the incident, saying it is because the water pressure in Hong Kong is relatively high. With dynamic pressure reduction, for the new water mains, the design life will be longer, according to the administration. So is it the case that we will have less pipe bursts and it would require less maintenance? Thank you. Thank you, Chair. This project is quite urgent because we have to meet the demand in the northern metropolis. As for what is in the long term, how we are going to supply water with different water sources, we do note the member's suggestion, and this is something we'll explore in future. Regarding water mains concerned in the project, we do have dynamic pressure reduction, but it is not just for this project. We are trying to practice the approach where we are going to install real-time sensors and make use of AI and data analyses to dynamically adjust the valves and by extension the water pressure to make sure we are managing water wisely, especially during the nighttime when the water pressure is higher. But this is something that applies to the whole water network of Hong Kong. Thank you. Dr. Lo Wai Kok. Thank you, Chair. I have two questions. One on the freshwater mains connecting to the northern metropolis, one on the water treatment works. Let me first talk about water treatment works. With the advancement in technology, we can enhance the efficiency of the water treatment works. The size of a facility may be similar to other facilities, but with advanced technologies, the processing cycle will be shorter, thereby increasing the capacity. For the Altame water treatment works, I want to ask if you'll be making use of some new technologies. That's my first question. We are practicing the infrastructure-led approach in the northern metropolis. We are also providing green infrastructure in the northern metropolis. We now have some new ways to lay cables and utility connections so that we can have all utility connections in a tunnel, which will no longer require digging up of land in the specific areas. I believe it will be beneficial, correct? Deputy Secretary, thank you. Chair, indeed, in the Altame project, we are making use of more efficient water treatment facilities. We will be making use of the dissolved air flotation method in place of the multi-deck sedimentation method, so we have increased efficiency with that. The second question. We are trying to make use of a public tunnel that would have shared utility connections. So this tunnel can provide additional, vehicular access as well. So the cost will be quite high for the construction of the tunnel, but then it can really help in the sense that we will no longer require closure of roads for maintenance. Thank you.
Chairman, no follow-up from me. I support the project. Mr. Benson Look. Thank you, Chairman. There will be more population in the northern metropolis. And now we have this project about water supply. This is in line with an idea championed by the BPA, which is infrastructure first. So in principle, I support this. I do have some concerns. I'm looking at paragraph 16. Every year, the additional annual recurrent expenditure will be more than $150 million. So what does that cover? In terms of the water bill, the water fees will also reflect this. So can the government tell us what will the recurrent expenditure mean for water bills? So does that mean that the water bills will go up because of the operating cost? So I would like some details on this. Now I'm also looking at paragraphs 9 and 10. New measures are being taken for burst mains, so there will be sensors, there will be dynamic adjustment of water pressure. All that is good, because we will be able to closely monitor the mains. Now in terms of the materials for the mains, are we using new materials? Are we using better materials so that the mains will be more resilient? There was a question about materials, but I think there was quite an answer, so maybe more details will do. First, the recurrent expenditure. That's expected to be just over $150 million. This is comparable to the current level. The current maintenance cost, more than half of that, goes into repairs. And then the electricity takes up 30%. 20% goes into staff costs. With more capacity, you need more workers. A few percentage points of the cost go into the chemicals. Now, water bills. We will be processing more water, so the annual recurrent operating cost will go up. As for the overall review of the water tariff, we will take into a range of factors, including user pays, the operating cost, public affordability, the overall social situation, and also the feedback from electrical members. We review different factors from time to time. When the need arises, we will share our reviews findings with electrical members. Now the materials. We're talking about larger diameters. This time we will be using ductile iron pipes or steel pipes. We have been using these materials because they are more durable for mains of larger diameters. The coating will be different. In terms of design life, for steel mains, that would be 40 to 70 years. As for ductile iron mains, there would be 60 to 80 years with proper maintenance. Any follow-up? No. Mr. Chen Xiu-Hong. This is about the Ngau water treatment works and the improving the water supply for Northern Mule territories. I support this proposal. Other members have asked the questions close to my heart. Now, let's compare the proposal here to the comparable projects elsewhere. I think the cost makes sense. So the prices are comparable to similar projects after adjusting for the unique aspects of the current proposal. Now, something top of mind for people is that we have to prevent water leakage during the construction and operation. And we have to be able to anticipate faults in the system. And this is where new technology can come in. During the panel discussion, the Development Bureau told us about the use of new measures such as digital twins and also the water intelligence network. Those measures had the support of the panel members. Now at this stage we're talking about the implementation. I see just some brief mentions of these technologies such as real-time monitoring through sensors and also the water intelligence network. So we have heard about digital twins, MeMap, and BEAM. What's the share of these new technologies in the overall cost? Is the cost a small fraction so that it's not shown in the paper? It's a huge project, so let's take this opportunity to incorporate the technologies during construction. And then we have the central operation system. That will help us keep an eye on the entire network of means. During the operation, you can gather a huge amount of data, and that can inform smart water network management. And this also matters for your future urban management. You incorporate the technology now, and that will help you down the road. So how do we implement the smart water strategy based on what we can incorporate into this project? My colleagues can tell us more about the breakdown of the cost. We can incorporate smart water management and smart city initiatives in the Northern Metropolis development. So at site formation, we use building information modeling. For water supplies, we can install sensors. These are new sensors. So new development gives us a chance to incorporate new measures covering city information modeling and other technologies. This is something we will do and we are already working on. Now on the breakdown of the costs, my departmental colleagues can tell us more. Mr. Wang? Mr. Roger Wang. Director of Water Supplies, can we switch on his microphone, please? Can we switch on the microphone for Mr. Roger Wang, please? For Ngau, we will have a smart water treatment works. We will do digital twins along with other smart systems. There will be automated systems. We will use drones and robots. The cost estimate is $35 million for these technologies. $3 million will go into the mains. $32 million will go into the water treatment works. Now for the water treatment works, there will be sensors. We will allow openings where we can put robots. Now for the Northern Metropolis, for improving the water supply system, $4 million will go into work such as hydrological modeling, etc. Mr. Lewis Long. Mr. Lewis Long. These two projects matter for people's quality of life, so I support these projects. One in Ngau, the other in Northern New Territories. I'm looking at enclosure 1, the latest project cost. We were briefed in April. The costs now are down 16% from the level we were told back in April. That's a major reduction. in the project cost. The reason cited is that we used the design and build model in tender. As someone from the industry, I take an interest in this. I welcome this. My question is, where did we achieve the most savings? Which kind of works? Now I'm looking at the improvement to water supply system in the Northern District. In enclosure 2, I see the same reason cited, but the reduction in cost is much more modest, just 4.1%. Whereas for Ngau May, the reduction is 16%, so 4 times as much in the savings. So where did we save so much money? Now we use the design and build model in tendering, and that's how we achieve the savings. This depends on the complexity of the works. Water treatment works involve complex works. Even the mains are no easy task because part of the mains goes through the toll highway. Contractors may have the experience or the equipment, and they may be able to find a more cost-effective way to perform the works. Design and build allows contractors to do the works at a lower cost, because when we design the works, we are not aware of the technology contractors have. Now for Ngau May water treatment works, let's focus on the reduction in cost. Now we're talking 8 kilometers of mains. We're saving 40% of the cost from the previous level. Now for the surface reservoir, we're also saving 40%. For the water treatment facilities, we're saving 14 to 16%. So that's where most of the savings were achieved. Chairman, a follow-up question. I welcome the design and build approach. But all that hinges on the experience and equipment of the potential service providers. But where does the risk factor lie? When we receive tenders, we also receive the technical proposals. We look at whether those proposals work and whether the contractors have experience in those areas. Contractors vary in their experience. So essentially, we leverage the strengths of different contractors, and that's how we lower the cost. We also bear in mind the risk factors when we vet the tenders we receive. Mr. Andrew Lam. In recent projects, I've noticed a reduction in the returned tender price. Of course, it's good to achieve savings. I do want to find out more about the costs for resident site staff. I'm looking at the enclosure. One cost is a fixed cost, the other one is in money of the day prices. Now for the RSS cost, I see 2 costs, one for the technicians and professionals, And then you also have to look at the number of workers involved. When we compile the cost, we look at the average pay point. The contractor have to find enough people to put on the site. Different kinds of professionals are involved. So the costs will vary based on the professionals involved. Have we seen a corresponding fall in the costs for resident site staff as a result of the reduction in the returned tender prices? The contingency is roughly 7% of the total cost. I'm not saying this is a large amount. It's not a modest sum either. Have we assessed the cost for RSS? Maybe it's a way for us to further reduce project cost in the future. Have we looked at this? Have we examined the cost in this regard?
Undersecretary. Thank you. For resident site staff, we do not have the actual costs at the moment because we do this on an accountable basis. I do not have the specific information here, but we are very prudent in estimating the costs for resident site staff. Last year we had this project on large diameter water mains. We do not even have resident site staff costs because WSD personnel are actually going to supervise the construction themselves. And in recent projects, we do not have the settlement of accounts for resident site staff costs just yet, so we may not have recent figures. We will provide whatever information we can provide after the meeting. Thank you. Well, before the director speaks, I want to ask some follow-up questions. You said the costs are settled on an accountable basis. So I believe you will only be reimbursing the contractors after the costs have actually been incurred. Let me say something. The cost we provide here is just an estimate. The actual cost will depend on the staff engaged, their qualifications, their experience, and by extension, their pay. I'll now let the Director of Water Supplies supplement my answers. For resident site staff and consultants, we do deploy a certain establishment of officers, and in the establishment there are 124 officers or employees. We have 2 supervisors. There will be 6 teams in total because they have to supervise works in different locations. So we have here the figures based on the average MPS salary points, but the actual costs may differ because the costs in the end will be the actual expenses. We have before, when we consulted the panel on development, the contingency being 7.8%, now we are at 6.7%. It is lower compared to other projects. Any follow-up questions? Thank you. I do understand that you have the actual costs being different from the estimates. I just hope you have a mechanism that can follow the market changes. When the costs you have right now in the estimates being based on the average MPS salary point, it may not reflect market changes in a timely manner. That's my comment. Thank you. If members have no other questions, I'm now going to put the item to vote. For PWSC 2025-26-17, members in favor of the proposal, please raise your hands. Members against, please raise your hands. I believe most of the members who voted on the item were in favor of the proposal. The proposal is endorsed. Now, in accordance with paragraph 41A of the Public Works Subcommittee procedure, I put the following question to vote. The subcommittee recommends further discussion by the Finance Committee of the proposal in PWSC 2025-26-17 that was endorsed by the subcommittee. I remind members that if this question is agreed to, it means that the subcommittee recommends that the Finance Committee further discuss the item. If the question is negative, it means the subcommittee does not recommend further discussion of the item by the Finance Committee. Members in favor, please raise your hands. Members against, please raise your hands. I believe most of the members who voted on the item were against the question. The question is negative. That is, the subcommittee does not recommend further discussion of item PWSC 2025-26-17 by the Finance Committee. The funding proposals passed today are expected to be submitted to the Finance Committee for consideration in October. This is the 17th meeting of the Public Works Committee in the 2025 session. It is also the last meeting in this session. The subcommittee total meeting hours is close to 38 hours. I would like to thank members for their active participation in the meetings of this committee in the past year. I also thank representatives from the administration for attending the meetings to address members' questions. I also would like to thank the Secretariat for their staunch support so far so that we can discuss the items in an efficient manner. I thank you all. This is the end of the meeting. Thank you.